What's up guys, I'm Dean and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I have another film review for you because a new superhero film came out, so of course I have to talk about that. And said superhero film, as you know because you clicked on this video, is SHAZAM! Fury of the Gods. The first SHAZAM film came out in 2019 and made no money. This film came out yesterday and also is making no money, which is a real shame. That first SHAZAM film, second best film in the DCEU in my opinion, just after the Suicide Squad. I adore the first SHAZAM film, and that's slightly because Captain Marvel is in Billy Batson, might be in my top 5 superheroes ever. Like, he's definitely right up there. I love him as a character, and I really adore that first SHAZAM film. And it's such a shame neither of them make any money, but let's talk about the second film. Let's get into my opinions on it. Let's get into my review, and I'll give you my thoughts. Okay, so this film has been getting really bad reviews. Spoilers, by the way. I'm just going to throw that out there now. The spoilers for this film. This film's been getting really bad reviews, and I'm not sure why. On my podcast episode, which would have just come out about this film and about other March films like Creed 3, Scream 6, 65, and Cocaine Bear, my co-host Harlan, or Fluffy Duffy, said that maybe SHAZAM is getting bad reviews. SHAZAM 2 is getting bad reviews because people are a lot more critical of superhero films now than they were in 2019, when in 2019 we were kind of on a superhero high. And I can really see that as a point. I think people are being too critical on this film because I think it is very silly, it is very dumb, but I think it's very self-aware of that fact. And that makes it somewhat intelligent. I really enjoyed this film. I think it was just a bit of dumb fun. And I think it has its flaws, but I think it has its strengths. And I think overall it was a pretty good superhero film. And I think it's better than a lot of the bad superhero films we've been getting recently. If you've seen my Quantumania review, it was barely a review. It was just a rant about the state of superhero cinema, because you get films like Black Adam and Ant-Man Quantumania and Thor Love and Thunder and, you know, all these crap films. I think this film is definitely a step above those films. I think this film was engaging. I think the plot was simple, but I think that worked because it gave us time to focus on the characters and focus on the comedy. And I think the action was pretty solid. I think that sometimes the CGI looked really cool. I mean, it had its moments of crapness, but if the film's good, I'm willing to forgive that, and I don't think that's a downside to the film. Let's get into some specifics. Start with the villains, because this is the thing everyone's dogging on. The villains are not great. I think Helen Mirren has some really strong comedic moments. I think Rachel Zegler has some really fun and sweet moments with Freddie Freeman, although that's weird. We'll get to that. Lucy Liu's fine. I mean, that pains me to say because Lucy Liu's great, but in this she's fine. And yeah, they're pretty dull and they're uninteresting, and they're kind of just like they're kind of just a wall that the superheroes need to get past, because the film is more about the superheroes struggle with themselves rather than them fighting the bad guys. But I think the quality of the supervillains here, I think the weakness of these supervillains does not at all detract from the overall quality of this film. I think the supervillains definitely don't make the film better, but I don't think they make them worse. I think they have some fun sequences. I think one of the funniest parts of the film is Helen Mirren reading that letter from the SHAZAM family, or the SHAZAMily, as I like to call them. I think that was a funny moment, and sure, the villains are fine. If we talk about the heroes, if we talk about Billy Batson and Freddie Freeman and Darla Dudley and Pedro Pena, and that's all of them I can name, but I think I did a pretty good job. Mary Blomfield, is that the actress's name? Because it's Mary Marvel. Anyway, it's besides the point. In superhero films, we haven't had a proper good superhero family, apart from The Incredibles, and The Incredibles is extraordinary, one of the best superhero films ever. Here, I think we have that dynamic really, really solidly, and I think the way they act like siblings and the way they act as a family and the way they interact with each other is the core of this film, and I think that is really solid and it really works. I think it's cheesy at times, but what do you expect? It's a film about kids getting superpowers. Like, it's going to be cheesy. That's part of the charm of it, I think. And I think that family dynamic really, really works. And I think Billy Batson's emotional struggle across this film of not wanting to lose his family and clinging on too tight, I think is understated. I think they could have focused on it a bit more. but I think it works, and I think the ending with the parents work. I think overall the parents are pretty good. They don't get a lot of time in this film, and I thought it was a bit rushed. Them being like, "Oh, we're superheroes." That seems funny though, because Pedro's like, "I'm gay," and they're like, "Yeah, we know," and it's sweet and it's funny and it's cool. I think that the parents are fine, and I think the scene with the mum at the end is pretty solid. Freddie Freeman, I think, is great. I think his flirting was cool until it gets weird when you realise she's 6,000 years old, and then they don't really they address it, but they don't properly address it. I think that's a whole kettle of fish that So Wonder Woman's in this film. And there's a joke where Wonder Woman's younger than Rachel Zegler. She's like 3,000 years old, I believe. And Billy Batson hits on her as a 17-year-old. And the movie's like, this isn't okay, because Billy Batson looks like a 17-year-old and Gal Gadot is 35 or whatever. But it's fine for Rachel Zegler to date Freddie Freeman because she looks like she's 17 or whatever. It's stupid and it's weird and it kind of took me out of the film, but that's besides the point. I've completely lost my train of thought. The Wizard was great in this. I really enjoyed Digimon Hunsao. I don't know how you say his name. I apologise. I think he was really funny in this film. I think he really... he was very different to the character we got in the last one, but I think that worked. I think this was a good continuation and he fit into the universe well. I think he had some great comedy moments. I think the funniest part of the film was when he was on Wonder Woman's body. I thought that was brilliantly funny. I really enjoyed that. This film was just funny all the way through, and I think that's kind of why I forgive all the dumbness. I think like the Skittles ad I found funny. Like, yeah, it was really stupid and on the nose, but I enjoyed it. Like, there's so much just psh, 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 just on the nose stuff, but it's funny. And I think that's why I forgive all this dumb stuff, because I found it funny, and I think if a film's funny, you can forgive it of a lot of things. But moving on, let's talk about the ending. It annoyed me a bit that Shazam had to do the whole, I have to sacrifice myself, and oh no, I'm going to be dead. And then the film tries and convince us he's dead, but we're like, no, you're not dead, because that's not how these films work. That was a very 2013 superhero film thing for me. And that didn't massively work. And I was like, oh yeah, we know you're not dead. Can we just get to the point where you come back to life? But I think the family's reaction to it, and I think the way they resolved it was fun. I think because they had so many jokes of Wonder Woman leading up to this point. I think when she was revealed, I think it was really good. And I think earlier on when she appears in the film, but you don't see her face, I think is also really fun. But what's weird about this film, sidetrack, is that they just never mention Superman by name. Like, I think that's a really odd choice to do, and I'm not like, I wonder what was going on behind the scenes while this film was being made, because obviously everything is different now, and I will talk about the future of DC in this because I'm so confused. But I just had fun with this film, and I don't know what else to say. I think, like, yeah, it had its weak points. It was like a bit too long, but the fact is it's long, but I don't know what I'd cut out of this film, because I think I would shorten sequences is the solution. Because what I think really works in this film is that every single member of the Shazam family has the Shazamily has time to shine, and I think that's really great. I think that's a really good way of doing this, that they all have their moment in the spotlight. So it's too long. I'd cut it out. I think some of the comedy is a bit, but you know, you can't have a comedy that's 100% funny. I think the villains are fine. They're meh. They're crap. And there's just sequences and story decisions which I'm not 100% on board with. But overall, I enjoyed it. I think I forgive a lot of this film because it's silly and it's self-aware and it's funny. But the end credit scenes. Let's talk about the second one first. I really enjoyed the second one. I think it's a joke about how in so many superhero, especially DC films, end credit scenes just go nowhere, and I think that's a really funny joke. And I think the fact that Mark Strong agreed to come back for this dumb joke about how his character isn't going to go anywhere, I think is funny. And I think Mr. Mind crawling away is funny. I think this might be one of the funniest end credit scenes, because it's more than because a lot of end credit scenes are just a simple joke, but this is more than that. This is like self-aware and like a thinker for a joke in an end credit scene. The first end credit scene I don't get. What is going on with the DC universe? Is Shazam staying? I hope so, because Zachary Levi's great and the character is great. What is Harcourt's and Economist's job now, recruiting people to the Justice Society? What is the Justice Society? Who's in it? Are they fighting Black Adam? No, they're not fighting Black Adam because Dwayne Johnson isn't returning. I'm so confused by this, but ultimately it doesn't matter because I don't think this is going to be answered, and I just think Zachary Levi's going to show up in a Justice League movie in the future or something like that. But Shazam's great, and this film is solid. The characters are solid. It's funny. It's fine. It's like 3.5 stars, like the lower half of a 3.5 star film. But I had fun, and that's all I've got to say about this film. That's my opinion, all wrapped up in a neat bow for you guys. I hope my rambling was cohesive because I don't have time to edit this video. It's just one take, if you didn't notice. This was just a one-take video, which I think was pretty impressive. Well done, Dean. Shake my own hand. Thank you for watching. Please like this video. Please comment your Shazamuel Fury of all the gods review down below. Just tell me your thoughts. I want to know them. And please subscribe to this channel. It's been great talking to you guys, and I'll see you next time. Bye.